Hello again and welcome to my channel. I'm Fraser from Metalworking in France. I operate a small business here in southwest France. Little project I've got on for the next day or so. I've got a client who's got he's bought what used to be an old, well, similar to a bank. So the outside door is steel, and the hinge has rusted away at the bottom, so it's all come away. It's really only hanging on one hinge at the moment, so he daren't open the door too often, because obviously eventually the top hinge will give out and the whole thing will just fall off, and then he won't have any security whatsoever. So let's see how we get on, see if I can get this, remove the old hinge somehow, if possible. If not, I may have to put a new hinge on. Okay, so follow me in the next few frames, see how this job goes, and I'll try to keep you informed on what I'm actually doing. Try again. I'm probably going to be going to be in the way of it now, but still. As you can see, I'm now putting a drill in just to try and knock out the pin that's inside the hinge. Because if I can do that, I can replace the old part that's already on there, and just weld that back into the frame. So now what I'm doing, I'm just increasing the size, the diameter of the drill, just so that I can maybe get a strong enough pin in there. So if I can knock this pin out of the bottom of the hinge, then the base part of the hinge that's welded onto the frame, I can replace that and put it back in, so that the whole thing just go back as it was originally. I'm having a bit of trouble here though. The only thing is the drill keeps binding up and gripping into it. I think it's where I'm breaking through into the inside part of the hinge. I'm really going to struggle with this. It's not doing too well. As you can see, it's at a bit of an angle anyway, but that's basically because I can't get in close to the door because of the drill chuck. I'm getting in there, I'm getting down to the depth that I need to be, so it's not too bad really at the moment. What I'll do, I'll try knocking this pin out now. I think I might struggle with it. I'm not sure if I've broken through to the inside of the door of the hinge plate itself. It doesn't seem to be moving. I'm really struggling with this now. What I'll try and do here, I'll just try and drill the hole out a bit bigger so that I can get a slightly bigger drift into it. I'm really struggling. It's not going very well at all. I am cutting into it. I'm pretty sure I'm into the depth by now, but I'm really battling to try and get this pin out. I may have to give up on this in the end because I'm just not having much success with it. I seem to be in deep enough to be inside the hinge itself, but possibly because of the angle I'm not lining up with the pin that's inside. So we'll just keep having a go at this and maybe give up. So now I've decided that the best way around this really is to just replace the hinge itself. I'm just going to weld a new one up a bit slightly higher up the door, just above the old existing one. So here I'm grinding off some of the paint work, basically obviously because I wouldn't be able to weld onto it if the paint is there. So I'm just trying to make this as nice and clean so that when I put the hinge on it'll line up quite nicely. So yeah, that's okay. That's nice and clean now. So now we're ready to fit the hinge, or weld the hinge into position. I'll put the lower part on first. I'll just tack it initially just to get so that it can hold in place. That's not too bad. That should be okay, and I can make sure that's going to line up, and then I can weld the whole thing on solidly. I'll just get on with this now and run a bead of weld down there. I'm using a portable welder, which is not the best thing around because it's what they call a gasless welding machine. So the wire itself has the shield actually built, well, as part of the welding wire itself. So it doesn't make a particularly pretty weld. It welds okay. It sticks metal together. That's the important thing. So I'm just running a bead down here now, I may have to over fillet it just to make sure I don't get any holes or, you know, blow holes in the weld itself, just so that it looks a little bit nicer. You'll have to excuse my head coming into the shot occasionally. Basically, it's because I have to get in close just to make sure it's clean. And obviously, I don't want to get the camera too close to the welding because of the spatter that comes off. It could damage the camera on the lens on the camera. So I'll just keep having a go at this. I'll just now drop the top on, and then that can be welded in place once I've determined that it's in the correct place. So I'll weld this now. I'll just give it again. I'll just put a little tack weld on there just to make sure it's held in place. Have a little discussion about what I'm doing here. The client was asking me a few questions, so I had to break away from the welding a little bit just to clarify to him what I'm actually doing. So yeah, I'll just tack this on initially, and then I can run a bead down that. So that should be okay. So yeah, that's coming on. So that's the finished item. Doesn't look very pretty, but obviously when you're welding something like this, you get a lot of the paint that's around it does tend to burn a little bit. So yeah, just swing this door round to make sure it opens and closes nicely. Oh, that closes beautifully. Well, there you go. That job actually went reasonably well in the end. I really struggled. I couldn't get the hinge off, the old hinge. I tried drilling it out, as you can see, trying to drill out and then knock the pin out of the bottom, but there was no success whatsoever. So I ended up just cleaning up the area and welding on a new hinge, a fairly heavy duty hinge, so shouldn't give them any problems. And as you can see from the video, the door could open quite smoothly and close smoothly and lock, no problem at all once I'd finished. So customer was very happy with it, so very pleased in the end with how the job went. It was a bit of a struggle initially, but it all went well in the end. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video. Look out for more videos in the future, and in the meantime, I'll bid you farewell. Goodbye.